Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
What is up, everybody? All right, we are back. Direct went a lot longer than I thought it was going to go, but I've been listening here and there as I've been doing other things, and I've heard some of the cross for Trooper Bukhenic, but not all of it. And what I heard was pretty crazy. But what I want to do is I want to actually start with a couple things. So first of all, noteworthy is that whenever we've been talking about Trooper Proctor and will he take the stand and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there's been several times where, like, I think it was a couple streams ago where somebody mentioned how the defense barely ever objects. And I was pointing out how, like, they only object for the most part when it's something very specific relating to Trooper Proctor, when the prosecution, the Commonwealth, is trying to get testimony in via another witness that Trooper Proctor would have to testify to. And so, and I've always commented on that, saying, like, it's hearsay, but also, like, you know, this is the strategy, because both sides are doing this to each other. Like, the prosecution's witnesses are saying to the defense attorney, it's like, oh, if you want to know that, you'll have to ask Trooper Proctor. And then, you know, the defense is objecting to these questions that the witnesses are about to answer, where they're going to answer for something that Trooper Proctor did. And, you know, so you all have heard me comment on that many times, and that it's like, I was saying it's like a game of chicken. And then it was so funny because I was listening earlier today to EDB from yesterday, still getting caught up. I haven't heard everything yet, but I just was listening to a little snippet of it, and it was during Trooper Bukhenic. And it was one of those things where Lally was asking him about something, you know, making a phone call that involved Trooper Proctor, something along those lines. And Alan Jackson, like, objected really, like, you know, like, immediately, right? And at first EDB was like, I wonder what that's about. And then she was like, oh, hold on, I think I can explain it. I think it's and she said basically what I've been saying, which is, like, you know, that they're trying to bait each other into calling him. And so I haven't had time to do it yet, but I'm gonna put, like, a little video of, like, the clips where with how she's commenting on it and I'm commenting on it. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny because I hadn't heard anybody else say that, but that was just something that I was like, that seemed like it was what's happening in my opinion. So it was funny hearing her confirm that. But just to go over a couple things, takeaways that I have written down from direct examination with Trooper Bukhenic from yesterday. So we heard testimony about how they don't have vehicles that are able to drive in the snow. We heard testimony about how their GPS doesn't work in the snow. We had, there was some business about a coffee table that I feel like I wrote it down because I feel like it's going to come up on cross, had to do with her parents' house where they had the interview. There was the whole thing about Trooper Proctor being outside with her Lexus unsupervised at the parents' house. That Karen denied having the glass from CF McCarthy's, and that she admitted that they had had a fight that morning, but that it was, like, over what the kids were having for breakfast. So in my opinion, again, that's the opposite, right? That's, like, just trying to be super helpful. So those are some of the takeaways from yesterday. Good morning, Candace. Happy to see you, my friend. Hope you had a nice break from Lally's voice. I did for a couple hours, but not that many. But luckily, we're not going to hear any of them today, except for very briefly. We're going to hear just the very end of direct, where they play a clip of the interview with Karen. And then I think that's pretty much the end, and then it goes right into cross. So, and if there's anything else after that clip, I'll just skip it and go to cross. So, so that is the plan. I already have his banner up there. And also I'm going to type it in Russian as well. Hi, Blackwater. Happy to see you, my friend. How's your hovel? I know you were tidying up the other day. So let's go ahead. And so this should play right where they're at, we're going to hear a very small portion of the interview that they did with Karen. And already right off the bat, there's funny things about it because they're not playing the entire thing. I think they don't even claim to have the entire thing. So, of course, just like with everything else, that's a bit fishy and cause for concern. It's a half-day Black Widow, so they might have just ended, but they were still going when I was listening as I was getting ready to come on here. So if they ended already, they ended early because usually they go until like 12:30 or 1 on the half days. So I don't know. That would be interesting. But it was supposed to be a half day. So I do know that much. All right. So yeah, so just your usual fishiness around here with not submitting the entire or not even having the entire interview recorded, but just this one little snippet. But that's pretty par for the course.
Want to turn off the air conditioning? Is this very short, right?
It is very short, and if we could, please, yes.
Yeah. And this is just audio, correct?
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. We're all in on the same joke, right? My tail light was cracked and John was pulverized.
Okay, we're gonna listen to it again. Because it's hard to hear it.
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
Something. Colin Albert. Okay, what's the first part? Let's go back again. A year later, maybe something? A year later. Y'all listen and help me out on this if you can. My volume.
And this is just audio, correct?
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
It sounded like she said a year later he was beaten up by Colin and Brian Albert. Now, we don't know who she's referring to because there's no context, because literally the teeny little clip of like 5 seconds, that's not the whole thing. There's 3 more seconds, but that's the entire portion because, of course. So she could have been talking about somebody else. Or she could be talking about John O'Keefe. We don't know.
We're all in on the same joke, right?
We're all in on the same joke, right?
My taillight is cracked and John is pulverized.
My taillight is cracked and John is just pulverized. So I'm gonna repeat that statement from what it sounds like to me. A year later, he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My taillight is cracked and John is just pulverized. So what's the joke part? Is the joke that she had anything to do with it? Is she saying that like they cracked her tail? Like, what do you guys make of that? I need help. Like, let's listen again. That is a really interesting statement. Very cryptic. Of course, there's no context.
And this is just audio, correct?
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
Bender.
We're all in on the same joke.
Just in the nick of time. We're listening. I just got on here. We're listening to that little snippet from Karen's interview. So this is like at the very end of direct. So we're trying to figure out what the hell she's saying. Have you heard any of this? But we need all ears on deck to try to figure out what this says and what also the meaning is, because as per usual, it's just this short snippet and there's no context for it, and they're not submitting the entire interview. And so there's no completeness and all the other stuff, right? So yeah. So did you hear this already, Fender?
And this is just audio, correct?
Yeah, so you might have missed it because it's really short. Okay.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
So the best I can make of that is a year later, he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. What are you confused of, Candace? What she's saying? A year later, he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. That's what it sounds like the first thing is.
I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right?
I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right?
My taillight is correct and John is pulverized.
My taillight is cracked and John's just pulverized. So you never have it where just a statement like this comes in. It's always the full interview, as we know. Anyone that watched the Michelle Troconis trial, days and days and days of that trial were spent the entire day watching her interrogations or interviews, whatever you want to call them, and you couldn't basically hear or see anything, and yet they had to play all of it, and it was, yeah, the joke. That's what I'm wondering, right? So again, there's no context. Let's back it up just a second and see what question. So this is Lally, right, on direct. Let's see, because I know that Bukhenic says like either they don't have the whole thing, or maybe Lally says they're not admitting. Let's back it up to where we can hear what they say about it, because I'm pretty sure what he says, because again, I was also listening while doing other things. I'm pretty sure what he says is that they didn't have the recording, so therefore they can't turn it over. Like in other words, like it mysteriously disappeared. But let's just catch what he says.
It is very short, and if we could, please.
Okay, let me go back a little further.
Not, you may consider all the surrounding circumstances today. So you're about to hear statement.
Back again.
Was that
Here we go.
conversation, or at least portions of it, memorialized in any way?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you a disc. Does that contain an audio recording, the best of your knowledge? Does that contain an audio recording of a portion of your conversation with Ms. Reed on June 9th, 2022?
A portion.
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'll hold the seat.
Okay, let me go back just a little bit. I feel like they have to explain
Was
why.
that
Okay.
conversation, or at least portions of it,
Here.
memorialized
Here.
in any way?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so Lally said that conversation, or at least portions of it, memorialized in any way. I've never heard of it where they just only record portions. It's not even possible. Those cameras are always going. The only thing I can fathom is that it was all recorded and then some of it like mysteriously got rehomed. Because there's no way that they would just record a portion of it. Just no way.
Your Honor, may I approach?
There's just no way.
Yes.
Not to mention, how would they know what part to record, right? If they're trying to suggest that like they only turned on a recording device for this one sentence, how are they knowing what she was going to say? Also, did she know she was being recorded? I mean, so in other words, it doesn't make any sense. The only thing that makes sense is that the whole thing was recorded and then the rest of it was deleted, I would think. So now they're approaching. Okay, so now let's go back to
Ms.
the.
Reed on June 9th, 2022.
Oh,
Yes, it does.
from June
Your Honor,
9th.
may I approach?
So
Yes.
way after
I'll
the
hold the
fact.
seat.
Okay.
Ms. Reed on June 9th, 2000. Ms. Reed
Well,
on
I'm trying
June.
to go forward.
Pledged to have made, and that she made it voluntarily, freely, and rationally. In determining whether the statement made by the defendant was voluntary or not, you may consider all the surrounding circumstances. These include when and where
I
the
will say to this end, Blackwater, my guess is the prosecution probably only wanted to admit the part where she says, and by admit, I mean admit into evidence, the part where she says, my taillight was cracked and John was pulverized. And my guess is the defense had to fight tooth and nail to get in anything that happened before. And that was what happened. So the fact that we hear the thing about Brian and Cal, he was beat up a year later by Brian and Colin Albert, and then the sick joke part, my guess is the defense had to fight to keep that in, because that's better than nothing. Otherwise, it's just like, and so there's no way, like, it's up for the jurors to decide, I guess, sort of what she means by that potentially. Now, this could be one of those things where it's like, is she going to take the stand? Because then she could explain it, right? We've talked about that before, where in this trial, it's a rarity where there are plenty of moments where it's like, she might need to take the stand, or it might be a good idea for her to take the stand. This could be one of those examples, right? I know. Well, that's the thing. They're not being given, that's it. It's insane. I've never seen it.
the statement was made, the nature of any conversations with the police or any questioning by the police, the defendant's physical and mental condition, including her intelligence, age, education, experience, and personality. Your decision does not turn upon any one factor, and you must consider the totality of the surrounding circumstances.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may we publish that for the jury at this time?
Yes, do you want to turn off the air conditioning? Is this very short, right?
It is very short, and if we could, please, yes.
Well, another thing I will say too is that I kind of felt like I was like mad a lot yesterday at the Commonwealth and yelling a lot. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like I never get mad. I never get mad. But boy,
This is just audio, correct?
from just the tiny snippets that I heard from EDB yesterday, that I listened to him today, but they were from her yesterday. At the same moments, I was like, I felt a lot better because I was like, oh my God, dude, she went code red before I went code red. She was yelling, she was mad. I was like, okay, so I feel a little bit better now because like I wasn't nearly as mad as her, and I still felt like, man, I can't believe it. Like I never get mad about stuff. So no, I don't think a jury's going to convict her at all. I don't think there's any way. But still, it's just shady, right? They shouldn't be able to get away with it.
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Connor, right? I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My taillight was cracked and John was pulverized.
Thank you.
That's it.
Now, Sergeant, on hearing that statement from the defendant, what was your reaction?
Objection.
Sustained.
On hearing that statement, what, if anything, did you do?
I advised the defendant not to further speak.
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I mean, that's actually good advice. So
Now, at some point over the course of your investigation, were you made aware of forensic findings relating to the defendant's tail,
Yes, I was.
and specifically DNA findings?
Yes.
okay, I'm gonna go forward because I hate
Specifically
him.
that there were
Objection.
specifically that there
Oh, wait.
were
Objection.
Sustained.
thing that you did voluntarily.
Yes.
And how was it that the sergeant collected your DNA?
Through a buccal swab.
And were you present when Trooper Proctor submitted to a buccal swab as well?
Yes, I was.
Oh, for fuck's
And as
sake,
far
who
as-
gives a shit? I like his tie though, by the way. Nice tie.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, that has to be her voice. They wouldn't be able to have it be someone else. And that wasn't quite Miranda. He just advised her to not speak any further. Miranda has way more to it. You know, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. You have the right to stop this if you choose not to answer a question, you can choose not to. You have the right to leave the room at any time. Although they don't say it to everybody. It's only if you're not detained. But there's other things in there. So that was just him giving her good advice, to be honest. But the reason that Lally elicited that testimony on direct is because it's supposed to make her look guilty, right? It's not supposed to be like, oh, look how nice, because the jury wouldn't know. Like to us, I'm like, oh, that's great. She shouldn't be talking in the first place. She should have an attorney, right? Of course. But that's not how it's going to be interpreted. My thoughts would be that they will or Lally's hope is that they would interpret it as because she's guilty. Because if you have an attorney, you did it, right? Like that's a fucked up misconception. But I think this is actually the end. Like Lally just lollygags for a long time and then doesn't do anything. I'm pretty sure. It's kind of ridiculous. Yep. All right.
My apologies, Your Honor.
That's okay.
So he doesn't have something prepared, I guess. Maybe he was going to do something
Thank you
else.
very much, Sergeant. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay. I guess he's going to do something else.
Cross-examination?
Not.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yay. All right, here we go.
Judge
Cross-examination.
Bukhenic, I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally, and that's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
The search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific ring video or series of videos that were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't write the search warrant for those ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the affiant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the affiant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Who received the actual ring video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those once they were received from the Ring Corporation?
I believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant Bukhenic, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, et cetera, were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
There was discussion with Ring asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested, yes, activity log, yes.
So ultimately, the activity log would show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
So you have zero, hang on. Isn't it true that Ring contacted Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with the video recordings are all times displayed in UTC?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Take a look, Sergeant, at that paragraph, which my finger's on. It's about the 3rd paragraph down the middle of the page, and review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished.
Yes, offender, that wasn't actually Miranda. That didn't count as Miranda. Because if it's Miranda, they have to go through the whole thing. If he just says, I would advise you to stop talking, that doesn't, because anybody could say that to anybody. That's not the same as reading Miranda rights. But yeah, I would say that probably most citizens have no clue about what Miranda is. Oh no, it definitely wasn't. He dodges answering all these questions, basically. It gets a bit feisty here as well. Oh, right. Well, I don't think the jury would interpret that as Miranda anyway, if they knew what it was. And if they didn't, then they couldn't interpret it as Miranda either. So I don't think I think it's more like an insinuation, right? It's like an insinuation that it's like worse than Miranda. It's like the insinuation is just that she's guilty. It's not even just being Mirandized. Right. I know. It sucks, right? I really wanted him to be not a piece of shit. He takes his sweet time at looking at this. So now you're familiar, everybody, hopefully, with the Ring camera footage. That's what they're talking about here.
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
So do you have a recollection as you sit here that in fact, during the course of your investigation, the three items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation, you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Thank you. Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry.
Oh shit! That's right.
No, you're not.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Sergeant Buchenic.
Sergeant Bukhenic.
How do I say it?
Bukhenic.
I'll give that
Can't.
a shot.
It's fine.
What's really funny is like I guarantee Lally mispronounced that a billion times, and everybody else for that matter. But he only Bukhenic. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like I really don't think you could be get a Yankee white clearance unless you were a natural citizen. I mean, it's hard, even then. It's still like that is such an elite thing. It could just be, you know, like in relation to his name, at least, like, you know, you can still pronounce things with like the appropriate accent, you know. And I would imagine his parents probably are Russian, right? And maybe like the first generation or whatever. So he probably grew up and, you know, being around their accents. That's what I would think. But I can't, I mean, he even said he was born and raised in Canton or whatever, or something to that effect. So
Buchenic?
Yes.
Is that better?
That's better. Thank you.
he's not getting the. So there's a specific character in the Cyrillic alphabet that makes that sound. It's like a KH. That's why it's spelled KH. So that's the thing that's harder for most people to do because we don't have a sound like that in our alphabet. So it's like a so it's like Buchenic. I mean, kind of like Buchenic. There's like a kind of thing. It's not. I'm exaggerating it so y'all can hear, but it's not like Buchenic, right? It's the H is missing that way. You need Buchenic kind of thing. So, yeah. So yeah. So he's saying that the way that I'm sure he's, you know, his parents did and stuff.
Screw it up again, please.
Yes. Buchenic. Yeah. There's like a throat. Buchenic.
On January
Just
29th,
hearing it
you
here.
were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview.
It's a really nice
about
time.
6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
Cool.
That is not.
That's cool.
What time were you
Yeah.
notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was, in fact, a sworn Boston police officer?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
I think it was during that day or the following day.
It was most likely that day, either. Yeah.
Fair enough. Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
He was assigned on the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call.
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay.
Yeah, they love
Well, he
mentioning that
wouldn't be
schedule.
assigned to this investigation
Cool.
until there was a need for the investigation, right? And that's all I'm getting to. I mean, once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the
Nice haircut,
person that's
too.
on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. Did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation, by 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10:40 in the morning, it was your belief that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the face by a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that
Oh,
defendant
boy.
stated that she
That's
hit
pretty
him.
crazy,
We
huh?
did not know the
Defender?
You hadn't even met
That's pretty
my
crazy.
client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness by 10:41 in the morning, correct? Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them that, quote, Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
Oh,
I do not
fucking-
recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
My God, I didn't even think about that. But that makes so much sense, right? If they had a drunken bar fight situation, I mean, at the house or whatever, but he had that glass with him. Oh my God, that actually makes sense, doesn't it? And maybe could even explain that laceration, depending. It would have to be a tall glass, though, I would think. But wow, huh? Fucking hell. I wonder if that was like his gut instinct. I wonder if he showed up at the scene and saw John and was like, that's what that looks like, because he's done all kinds of homicide investigations. And he was like, maybe got some and then what happened was, he was, I don't know, for whatever reason that had to change. Right. But that sounds like a very accurate possibility. Wow. Holy
Yes.
shit. Wow. Wow. Yeah, they couldn't have anybody actually correctly identifying anything related to this,
I'd like you to take a look at this document, and if you wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
Right. He's going to take probably forever, so I'm going to go forward. If I recall, he really takes his sweet time. Wow.
Thank you,
Wow,
sir.
finally.
Having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that?
Make an assessment?
That is not true.
What did you say to Good Samaritan Hospital?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is from the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper Yuriy Bukhenic called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to a domestic situation? Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did you
That's
say
not
that
the
there was a
question,
possibility
sir.
that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Fucking
Did
hell.
you ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Wow. Wow.
Allow that. Did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to
Why would
the
you do?
medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay,
This
so-
is why I can't stand it when they do that, when they answer the judge but not the attorney when it's the same question. It just totally undermines their authority, and it shouldn't be happening. It just shouldn't be
When I was
happening.
asking you if you ever
Stop.
said to Sam,
Tell her to stop,
you said,
somebody.
no, that's not true. That's never happened. You were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not at Sam.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m., indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
I communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
And that was at 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility. You indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop, we followed the evidence and
Non-responsive.
statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed Ms. McCabe.
And prior to that, prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right? Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours
That's correct.
or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not either, did he?
No, he did not.
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a compound question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
Wow.
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
Okay.
Can you answer that question?
Whoa.
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them then?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you didn't.
I mean,
as a
Lally
Massachusetts
could have
state
objected
police
there to compound, and he didn't. That's crazy,
you
man.
didn't
That's
secure the
smart.
outside as a crime scene either, did you?
I did not know.
To your knowledge, nobody else from Massachusetts State Police ever did either. Did they?
Yes, they did.
How was that done and when?
Oh boy.
When members of our office and the CERT team responded to that location and secured the front yard grass area and processed it.
That was at 5:45, 6 o'clock that night on the 29th?
I believe it was earlier, but I was not present, so I can't testify to the time.
So you don't know personally what they did to quote unquote secure or not secure the crime scene. You know they searched it, but in terms of securing it as a crime scene, you don't have personal knowledge to that.
I was not present.
You never took any photos of the interior of the house, correct?
I did not know.
You never caused CSSS to go inside the house and process that house as a potential crime scene, correct?
I did not know.
No forensic criminalist at your direction ever went into 34 Fairview.
No, they did not.
And the people that you interviewed on January 29th, you already mentioned Ms. McCabe. The other people were her husband, Matt McCabe, correct?
That's correct.
And her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. Is that right?
That is correct.
And all three of them were interviewed where?
They were interviewed at the McCabe residence.
Now, yesterday when you testified, did you indicate that Brian Albert was not present in the home when you interviewed Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe?
They were not. He was not present in the dining room when we were interviewing each individual separately.
So if all three of them testified that he arrived before you arrived, they would all be wrong.
I did not see him in the home when we arrived. No.
I want to switch gears real quick to a couple of the physical items that you testified about yesterday, specifically the gray shirt or the gray hoodie and the orange shirt. You and Trooper Proctor collected both of those items you indicated from the floor of the hospital at Good Samaritan, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
You testified that you and Trooper Proctor immediately bagged both of those items. They were sort of sopping wet, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
You indicated that the bags were so wet that you had to take the items back out of the bags and then lay them out on, I think you said, butcher paper. Is that right?
The items were soaked and wet, They were bagged, double bagged, to prevent leakage of physiological fluids and the moisture coming off of it. And then once they were transported to the office, they were laid out on butcher paper in order to dry naturally.
So you went from Good Samaritan directly to Dighton, correct?
That is correct.
And then you went from Dighton directly to the Canton Police Department, after which you had seized the vehicle, correct? And the phone.
We seized the phone in the vehicle in Dighton and then followed the tow truck
Right in his
straight to the Canton Police Department.
So at some point, if you had received or gathered the wet clothing at Good Sam, went from Good Sam to Dighton Canton PD, at what point that evening did you finally get those items of clothing out and laid out to dry?
It was late that night, around 10 or so.
So where were the items in the meantime?
They were stored in the back passenger compartment of my pickup truck.
In those double bags.
Correct.
Who took control of the items to then lay them out late that night at the office?
I do not recall.
Is that you or Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
At some point, obviously, it was getting late. You'd been on duty for a long time that day. You went home at some point, correct?
At some point, yes.
Did you wait for those clothes to dry before you went home, or did you leave that in Trooper Proctor's hands?
No, once they were laid out in the processing area in the office, we went home.
Okay. Who would have controlled those items of evidence when you left?
They're under lock and key within the secure area of the district attorney's office, so they're secured. Nobody's in physical control watching guard over them.
Who had access to that area?
Troopers in our office.
Meaning you, obviously.
Yes.
Supervisor. Trooper Proctor as well, correct?
Yes.
Ultimately, given the fact that he was the case officer, sort of in charge, the lead, he would have bagged those items up and been responsible for taking those items, tagging them, getting them stored wherever they need to be stored and processed, correct?
As a case officer, he could direct other people to perform those tasks for him. The evidence officers in the office log in the evidence, and once it was dried, it was sealed up, bagged, and put into storage. As far as who actually performed those tasks, I do not know.
Well, yesterday, Your Honor, may I approach the course, right? There's a couple minutes.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Approach, approach. They're going to approach. Ah,
This is not a vision contest. I'll bring these up to you in just a second, but just for familiarity's sake, do you recognize these two bags as bags that you brought to court with you yesterday?
They look familiar, yes.
Okay. This one has a 437 on it on my right. The one on my left has a 438 on it. May I approach it briefly?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open those. Don't worry about gloving up at this point. The bag on your left, which one is that? 437 or 438?
The bag on my left is 437.
437. Okay. And you indicated that those items were bagged after the clothing was dried and then ultimately processed in, logged in, correct?
Once the items dried, they were bagged and logged in, waiting processing, yes.
But you didn't personally do that.
No, I did not, no.
Matter of fact, looking at the bag on your right, what's been marked as Exhibit 430, 438, thank you. That one has some writing on it, correct?
Yes, it has a lot of handwriting on it, yes.
And that, whose handwriting is that?
I don't know.
You've seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting? 1,000
yeah,
times.
right. He knows.
Not 1,000 times, but
Does it look like his
Oh,
writing?
for Pete's sake.
it says Trooper Proctor on it, but other than that, I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting looks like.
All right. It indicates that Trooper Proctor is the one that bagged that item or those items up, correct?
Yes, this bag indicates that the item was collected by Trooper Proctor on 129
Right.
at 10
And it says Brockton, correct?
Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, yes.
That was, you just took the question out of my mouth. That's where Good Samaritan Hospital is, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a tag or a printed label, looks like a label maker of some sort, that is on that physical bag, correct?
Yes.
Before we get to that, what's the description on that bag in handwriting?
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, can you be specific as to description of what or
Where it says description of items.
Yeah, that's not a hard question, dude. Come on.
description of enclosed evidence?
Correct.
It says one orange t-shirt, one gray long sleeve shirt.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they're in the
let's
same bag. That's his point.
Before I do that, just so I close this loop, what's the description on the bag to your
Close
right?
it.
One of the
Close
ones
it up.
that's sprinkled?
Number 437.
Yes, if you would read the same clothing description.
The description of enclosed evidence states sweatshirt with recovered items inside container.
May I approach Approach now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Boy.
Yesterday when you opened, keep my voice up. Yesterday when you opened these two bags, this one, 437, has the gray sweatshirt in it. 438 has the orange t-shirt in it now, correct?
That's what was in the bag, yes.
All right. However, the bag indicates at one point, this bag, 438, the physical bag I'm holding in my left hand, had both the sweatshirt and the t-shirt together, correct?
That's what the description is. I do not know if that was in case or in fact the case.
Wow. There's not anything that they didn't.
The reason you don't know is because you're not the one that Proctor did, correct?
The reason I don't know is I wasn't present during the separation of those items, and I did not observe it taking place, nor was I made aware of how the items were separated or when.
You are aware, however,
Well, yes,
that,
that's what he just
tag
said.
that's on the label maker looking tag, the white tag that's on that bag indicates that it was, indicates a date of February 4th, correct?
You'd have to bring that back up.
I'm sorry.
I didn't take note of that.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Let's direct your attention to the tag and the date associated with that tag.
The label maker tag does have the date February 4th, 2022 on bag number exhibit 438.
May I approach?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's obviously 6 days after the item was actually recovered on the 29th, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that indicates, at least based on that tag, that that item was not booked into evidence and processed until 6 days after it was
Oh,
actually
boy.
recovered on the
Oh,
floor
fucking
at Good
hell.
Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
Oh, dear.
The date indicates February 4th, 2022.
Right. And that date would be indicative, in your experience, of the date that it's moved into processing by some other folks, the evidence sergeants or whomever, or the evidence officers rather, or whomever, correct?
I can't speak to their procedures as far as when they print the date. That date could be when they printed the label, but the bag might have been tagged otherwise. I do not know that.
But there's no other tag on that bag that suggests an earlier date, correct?
There's just that one tag from the label maker.
My question to you, if you know, sir, and you may not know, is what was happening to these items between January 29th, after you lost sight of them that night on the butcher paper, and February 4th, when that tag indicates that they were first processed?
To the best of my knowledge, those items were drying on the butcher paper.
For 6 days?
If that's what the label maker says, yes, for 6 days. They were soaking wet.
And those would have been certainly accessible to and in the possession of the lead case officer in the case, the Trooper Proctor, right?
Yes, if Trooper Proctor needed to review those items, he would have access to those items. Absolutely.
And you're also aware that the first actual log of any chain of custody for those items is March 14th, when they were finally submitted 6 weeks later to the crime lab.
That is not true. The first actual log of those items is when we collected them from the hospital.
Where's the log? I'm talking about a physical log, like sign in, sign out log. Where's the log?
It's documented in the reports saying that we collected it.
I know that there's a report. Anybody can write a report, right? I didn't write a report. Doesn't mean anything. I'm asking for a log.
Objection.
So the objection sustained.
Obviously, when items move in and out of people's custody in an official capacity for the Massachusetts State Police, there's a log of that, correct?
It's documented. Yes,
Or at least it should be, correct?
it's documented.
Where's the log of these items before March 14th?
It's documented in the report.
There is no log, is there, Sergeant?
I do not know.
Wow.
I want to talk a little bit about some searches that Mr. Lally asked you about, February 4th and February 10th, very specifically. Both of those searches you were involved with out at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
But Sergeant, you didn't personally write a report about your conduct at 34 Fairview on either of those 2 dates. In other words, you didn't go back to the station and generate a report yourself.
I don't recall doing that now.
There were no photos that you took of the items at the location.
I did.
Those took photos, correct?
I did not take photos of the items.
Okay. And the first report that indicates anything that happened or was recovered at the location on either February 4th or February 10th, that was first notated in a report dated November 4th, 2023, year and a half, year and several months later, correct?
If you say so, I do not know the exact date. That report would have to be presented to me.
May I approach?
Yes.
Wonder if this is another Proctor.
You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you can skip to the part that talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you're finished already. What's the date of that? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the report that actually talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches?
It does.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
This report is dated November 4th, 2023.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, as it relates to those 2 searches, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the February 4th search first. You indicated that you actually responded to 34 Fairview personally, correct?
I was responding to that location on my own. I personally responded, yes.
Okay. That was because you had received information that Chief Berkowitz had seen something or found something. Is that right? Chief Berkowitz from Canton PD.
That is not correct, no.
Okay. So when you got there, was Chief Berkowitz there?
Yes, he was.
You just happened to go by 34 Fairview at the exact same time on the exact same date as Chief Berkowitz, or was that coordinated in some way?
There was no coordination between me and Chief Berkowitz. As I testified, I had directed the troopers to go by the location. I planned to go by the location in the morning on the way to the office and in the afternoon on the way home, just to see if any more items would reveal themselves. So that morning, I was actually traveling to that location in order to conduct a view of the area to see if any more evidence had been revealed.
He said any more items would reveal themselves. That's interesting language, isn't it? When they had already been searched, what, twice already? I don't know. It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. To see if any more items would reveal themselves. Like, haha, I'm showing up magically. Ugh.
Prior to my arrival, approximately while I was on Chapman Street, I received a call indicating that Chief Berkowitz was at the location, yes.
And was there also an Officer Lank, Sergeant Lank?
I do not know Sergeant Lank was there, no.
Okay. Chief Berkowitz certainly was there.
Yes,
And Chief Berkowitz indicated that as he was driving by, he saw a piece of plastic
yes.
and stopped his car and then started making phone calls.
I believe that's what he...
Amazing. Just like, you know what's so crazy about that? That's identical to how Karen found the body. They were driving by and she saw the body and got out of the car. He was driving by, saw a piece of plastic, got out and started making phone calls. Insane.
Indicated to the caller, yes.
Insane.
Did you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by the location in the first place?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You knew at that point that the Canton Police Department had been recused because of at least an appearance or potential for a conflict of interest, correct?
I knew they recused themselves due to only in respect to interviews. They didn't want to conduct interviews with us side by side.
I mean, if there's conflict of interest, Sergeant, for a department, conducting the interviews is just one aspect of an investigation, correct?
I'm not going to speak like a conflict of interest, but yes, conducting an interview is just one aspect of the investigation. Yes.
So is it your testimony that your understanding was they couldn't conduct interviews, but they could collect evidence, store evidence, write search warrants, get returns on search warrants, execute search warrants, conduct searches? They could do all that and not conduct interviews?
My understanding was they were recusing themselves from conducting interviews. They still allowed us to use their facilities. We utilized their conference room to conduct interviews. There was evidence being stored at their Sally port, being the vehicle. So that was my understanding.
Isn't it true that you knew that the entirety of the Canton Police Department had recused itself because of a familiarity between one of their members, Kevin Albert, and the Albert family, on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found? That was the conflict, correct?
I knew that was the connection between them, yes.
And you understood, sir, that that agency was to have nothing, from an investigative standpoint, nothing to do with this investigation, correct?
They were not conducting the investigation, no.
Matter of fact, Trooper Proctor and you supervising him, y'all were conducting the investigation, right?
Our office was conducting the investigation.
So did you find it unusual or suspicious in any way that the chief of police for the conflicted Canton PD was the person driving by 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Sergeant?
He would have to repeat it. There's just so much I can't.
There was a little worry. I'll try again.
Wow.
Did you find that suspicious?
Which part? You have to repeat the whole thing.
That Chief Berkowitz from the conflicted Canton PD was at 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Yeah, that sounds suspicious to me.
The way you posed the question, I did not find it suspicious at all. He's the chief of the police in the town where he works,
Okay.
and he's driving down the street. I mean, that's not suspicious.
With a conflict of interest on the very
Right.
case that he's driving by.
Wow.
Objection.
Sustained.
Wow.
You certainly knew, as a supervisor over the case officer, that any involvement by Canton Police Department, given the fact that there's a potential conflict, any involvement by them could compromise your otherwise clean investigation. You knew that, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Did Chief Berkowitz disclose to you that morning on February 4th that he had been communicating with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, two witnesses, on your case that morning?
Objection.
Sustained.
If you knew information about communication between and among Canton PD and your witnesses, you would find that inappropriate, would you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
You returned to the scene on February 10th, is that right? To conduct another search, you said.
I was present on the 10th, yes.
Who dispatched you back to, or did anybody dispatch you back to that location on February 10th? How'd you end up there? It's a better way to ask it.
February 10th, just like previous days, we made plans to go to the location in the morning, in the afternoon, drive by. I was on my way to work and to home. So I traveled that route on purpose. And as evidence revealed itself due to the natural melting of the snow, we would stop and collect the visible evidence.
You believe at this point, sir, that whatever you might collect at the scene would obviously be important, correct?
Anything we collected that had evidentiary value or presented itself as somehow related to the crime or the incident
He's
would
very
be collected.
careful to always say reveal itself or present itself as if it all
Treat it as
belongs.
It is a point, yes.
So
Evidence had a mind of its own.
especially as it relates to the February 10th
Interesting.
search, where there were multiple items found, did you seek to have CSSS come out and actually either mark with GPS coordinates or measure with cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic. We simply collected it for processing.
So the location of each one of those items was not of that great importance to you, at least at that time?
It was of great importance as to the fact that it was located in the vicinity where the victim was found and in the vicinity of other items located of the same characteristic, shape, size, and color
So that's my question. What does vicinity mean?
in the area.
Okay, what does area mean?
It's a location, specific location.
Okay, are we talking about, if we do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of 5 feet or an area of 50 feet?
Based on where the items were recovered, we're talking about an area approximately of 30 square feet between the roadway into the grass. It's the
We saw photographs, Sergeant, of items that were butted up against a fire hydrant in one instance, correct? Yes.
That's correct. Yes,
A drinking straw that's out in the road, correct?
that's correct.
Another shard of glass that's in the grass, closer to
correct.
the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
A hat that's under the snow, adjacent to the left side of the flagpole, correct? I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was closer to the electrical box, wasn't it?
No, the pictures documented where the hat was. It was to the right of the
Oh, that
flagpole.
Dom Weir
So
left
these
the
shards of
box.
glass, the point I'm asking is, did you seek to use basic cross coordinates, measurements from something that you know is a known object, like for instance, I don't know, a flagpole or a fire hydrant? 27 inches to the north and a foot and a half to the south of those two known points. That would give you a cross coordinate, correct?
It would document the exact location, correct?
And you did not do that with any of these items, correct?
The items that were not photographed were not also GPS located, but they were within the same vicinity of where the other items were collected.
But again, now we're back to the same question. Your word for vicinity might be different than my word for vicinity, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
Argumentative.
When you recover these items, or any other items, it's obviously important to memorialize on the evidence bag or in some other way exactly where they're found, who found them, the date, time, etc. Correct?
We do the best we can to document all known information on each evidence item bagged at the time.
And in terms of the February 10th search, I want to just ask you a couple quick questions about that evidence bag. Did you bag the items into a single evidence bag you found that day, or do you recall?
I would have to see the bag. If you have those available, I'll take a look. I can answer.
With the court's permission, the exhibit, I think it's 310, that was entered into evidence yesterday. I'd like to display that for us.
Okay.
You're looking at a photograph of what was previously entered into evidence as 310. Can you see that from where you're at? I don't have the evidence bag with me, so if you don't, I can certainly ask the space to enlarge it.
If you can enlarge it, please.
Just a portion right.
That's what she said.
Front of my approach.
Yes.
I didn't realize I've got a photograph of it.
Do you need the lights on, Sergeant?
Please.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should make it easier. Sergeant, have you been able to familiarize yourself with that evidence bag?
With the photograph, yes.
Okay, thank you. Taking a look at that evidence bag, it has the information on it, has your name is collected by, correct?
Correct.
The date of collection is February 10th, is that right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. And it indicates multiple pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, right? It actually says 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, correct?
That's correct.
But that is not an evidence bag that was filled out by you.
I did not fill that bag out, no.
As a matter of fact, that's Trooper Proctor's handwriting,
I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting is. I cannot confirm that that's his handwriting.
but it's not your handwriting.
It is not my handwriting, no.
So are you aware that this particular bag, that bag that contained those 6 items of plastic material that you already deemed was incredibly important to the investigation, was never going into any evidence until March 14th, the date that it was submitted to the crime lab?
I was not aware of that, no.
We can take that down, please. If I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you ever draft a report yourself documenting the recovery of those 6 items and the other 14 items that you said that you found on the same date, February 10th?
I did not know.
Did you leave that assuming that Trooper Proctor would document that?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
I'll ask it another way if I can. Did you believe that you didn't need to write a report, Sergeant, because Trooper Proctor would take care of that?
Oh, boy.
I knew that it would be documented. It was already documented on the actual bag as far as who collected it, when, where, what it was. and a report eventually would be authored on it.
But the where, for all these very intricate pieces, the where is left to 3430 on that, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Wow.
Right?
The general vicinity location of the other items collected and documented with photographs was consistent with the same locations this was collected.
I want to shift gears for just a second.
The chain of custody is so fucked.
Well, actually, I want to ask one final question about that item. Based on the documentation that you just mentioned, that it's documented on the bag, and if the bag is presented to the crime lab on on March 14th, some 5 weeks later, those items were completely unaccounted for from a log standpoint the entire time from when they were collected until they were booked at the crime lab, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it
Did you
differently.
keep possession of those items for those 4, 5, 6 weeks?
Are you talking about the items that were just displayed on the screen?
I am, sir.
I did not.
Now I'd like to shift gears to a ring video that you saw yesterday. It's in Exhibit 6, video number 153. That may mean nothing to you. It's the 5:07 a.m. video of Ms. Reed's car pulling out
Oh boy.
One Meadows garage. Do you remember that video?
I do.
Okay. You indicated yesterday on questioning, under questioning by Mr. Lally, that Ms. Reed's car came in contact with or close to coming in contact with the other vehicle, the Traverse, in the video. Is that right?
The video, as I watched the video, I observed the vehicle come near Mr. O'Keefe's car.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about.
Oh boy.
With the court-
I have not actually seen this.
One more time.
Yeah.
Maybe you can pull that up and then ask me to pause it and get out of the way.
So that's right. Okay. I heard this, but I didn't see it.
No, ask me to pause it.
She basically, from what I understand, bumps into this
Does that
car.
appear to be- I'm just
John's
pausing it
car.
for 2 or 3
And
seconds.
he's
Does that
leaving.
appear to be the video that you saw yesterday?
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bates, if you could enlarge the area around the right.
Okay, so let me-
rear tire
Let me pause this real quick.
of the Traverse.
Okay, so here's what's happening. So yesterday when we were covering this live, we didn't get to this part because I had to go, and so we got the beginning across. We didn't get to this part. Now later on, I heard this testimony. I didn't see this yet, but I heard about it. I heard the testimony. So we're seeing it now. But basically, this is Karen leaving John O'Keefe's house at like 5 in the morning or whatever, and then that's his car. And from what I understand, she basically, we'll see it for ourselves, but from what I understand, she hits him. She backs into him with her taillight. And this is insane.
I'm going to ask you, sir, if you'll pay close attention to what's been zoomed, and when the SUV gets close to it, I'm going to pause it and ask you another question. You go ahead and play this.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this.
So why don't we
That's
pause
fine.
the screen, take
Sorry.
it down, and I'll see you at sidebar.
Oh my God. Is the only reason he could be objecting is because they're zooming in? He played that video, and like I said, that's where I heard it. I heard it in the direct. I just didn't see it, but he played that video yesterday. Wow. Long sidebar.
Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention.
Okay, here we go. He won.
Enlarge that.
Jackson won the objection.
And I'm asking you to pay special attention to that wheel and any movement that you may or may not see. Pause it.
Oh my God.
About the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention to the wheel. Okay. We can have the lights on. And you can take that down. Sergeant, were you able to see that video? I know it's
Wow.
not the clearest thing in the world. Were you able to see that video okay?
Yes, I
What did
did.
you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
What would you assess based on the movement of the rear wheel of the Traverse about whether or not the two vehicles came in contact with one another?
Objection.
Yeah,
Sustained.
the jury
Okay,
gets to make that choice, that decision.
I have just a moment.
Yes. You're all right, Blackwater. We love you. Do you have any evidence issues
May I
also?
inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my time wisely, Your Honor.
Okay, good.
Yesterday, Sergeant, you were asked about a couple of videos related to the Sallyport garage. Do you have that in mind?
Yes,
Matter of fact, we watched one of them pretty specifically toward the end of the day yesterday. Did you actually, I want to talk about the one that is the clearer of the two, where you slip. You remember that one?
If you pull it up, I can.
I will in just a second.
Okay.
There was one where Mr. Lally paused it and you were slipping in front of the vehicle.
I don't recall myself slipping, no, but it was icy that day. So if there's documentation of me slipping, I might have
Fair
had.
enough, fair enough. I didn't mean anything by that other than that was a moment that I thought you might recall to differentiate the videos. It's exhibit 446, but I don't think that's gonna help you. All right, let's see if I can do this another way. Did you actually personally go to Canton, Canton PD, to retrieve any or all of the videos of the Sally Port? You yourself?
I did go to Canton and collect already extracted video,
Okay.
but it was a portion of video surveillance. I didn't collect all of the video, so
When was the most recent time that you went to Canton to collect a portion of the video?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you review well, let me ask it this way. Did you collect the video that was sought on about April 23rd or 24th this year? In just a few weeks.
Did I collect it?
Correct.
I did not collect that video of April this year. No.
You're aware that the video that you saw yesterday was in fact collected after the trial started in April of 2024?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you aware of when that video that we saw yesterday was collected?
Objection.
I am not aware.
Okay. Was yesterday the first time you'd seen that video?
No,
When had you seen that video previously?
a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. What were the circumstances in which you saw that video?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have a meeting with the DA?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever have any kind of communication with Mr. Lally about your testimony?
Objection.
Sustained.
Any reproach?
Yes.
Wow. That's crazy because everyone else, fucking hell, they're allowed to ask that. And everybody else was asked that and answered that question.
Outside of portions of the case.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have any meetings or communications with Mr. Lally in anticipation of your testimony?
Yes, it
When was that?
was about 2 weeks ago, and then last week, I believe.
And what was discussed? Jim,
Generally, we discussed the portions of the case that I would be presenting.
did you write a report about your communications with Mr. Lally?
No, I did not.
Were you shown any of the videos that you've seen here in anticipation of your testimony?
Not during the first meeting. I did review a video during the second time.
Okay, and that video was that you did see the second time was the interior video of the Sally Port that we saw yesterday, correct?
I'm just trying to remember exactly what video I saw. I had reviewed videos outside of our meeting, so I don't remember exactly what video Mr. Lally showed me.
But you do recall seeing the video that you saw yesterday, the sort of clear one that has the crime scene tape being put up and all that. You have seen that one before,
Yes,
and that was with Mr. Lally, correct?
that is not correct because I do not recall when I saw that video or what video I saw with Mr. Lally.
I see. All right. I'd like to talk about that exhibit 446 for a second, and then I'll show it to you. You indicated that the video that all the videos, everything that you saw yesterday was true and accurate, correct? Based on your memory of the events that were memorialized in the video?
The video captures events taking place in accurate fashion, yes.
In an accurate fashion. All right, that's what I wanted to find out. And after you watched the video, I think you were asked by Mr. Lally, does the video show you or Trooper Proctor having access to or messing with in any way that right rear tail light in any fashion? And you said, never.
I was asked if at any point Trooper Proctor and I had came into contact, I believe, or touched the vehicle and that portion of the vehicle. And I said, never, we never touched the vehicle prior to it being properly processed with a search warrant.
And that was specifically his question was to, and your answer was to the right rear portion of the video, right? That right rear tail light.
The right rear damaged taillight, correct.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play a portion of exhibit 446.
Okay.
Awesome. So this is another one that I didn't see it. I heard it, didn't see it. So this is new for me as well.
Just to lay foundation. Sorry, did you recognize this as being the video that we saw yesterday?
From what I understand, okay, a couple things from what I understand. This is like a dummy thing for practicing fighting or whatever, being like a bro. And this is the famous the Lally port, right, where the cups were. And then from what I understand, everything in this is like reversed. It's like a mirror image. So when you see someone get out of the car, it's going to look like they're getting out of the passenger's seat, but it's actually the driver's seat.
It does look accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page. This is 446, just so you have it in mind if I reference that. So if you could play that. And I think it's runtime 120. Pause it. Do you recognize that as the video we saw yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Very briefly, if you could move to time of day, 5:37:05. Court's permission, can we play at this point?
Yes.
All right, that shows the vehicle coming into the Sally Port, and we're looking at which side of the vehicle?
So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. What that video depicts is a mirror collection. Although mirrors are accurate representation of what you're seeing, it's just inverted.
There we go. Yeah.
So that is the
That's-
driver's side of the vehicle.
that's right.
Do not know why it is inverted, but that's the way it was presented, collected and presented from Canton Police.
Can you see a timestamp or a time and date?
I
stamp
mean,
on the
though, but why though?
I cannot know.
But why?
Does it appear
Fucking hell, man.
that time and date stamp, if you can't read every letter on it, that is in correct order? In other words, that's not inverted.
I cannot read it, no.
All right, let's go and play this for a second. Who's that just got out of the car?
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle. We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
I missed it. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know. I know for a fact, I'm the gentleman that's wearing a dark olive drab state police baseball style hat, and Trooper Mike Proctor is wearing a winter hat.
Trooper Proctor's wearing what?
A winter hat.
Back up, that was playing, and I didn't realize it was playing while you were talking. Stop. Do it for that. And stop. Yesterday, when you testified, you indicated that the two individuals in this scene were you and Trooper Proctor, correct?
That is not correct. There was two individuals in the rear of the vehicle. I shined my light to. That was me and Trooper Proctor.
Do you see Trooper Proctor toward the back of the rear of the vehicle there?
I can't tell because of what the head is. I just know that Trooper Proctor was wearing a black hat.
What's the person in that in the video to the left, to the rear of the car, is wearing a black hat, correct?
I can't tell. I don't want to be locked into a statement where later on you show me that it's somebody else magically. I can't testify to that.
There's no magic about this. It's your testimony. I'm just asking you what you see.
I don't see that. No.
Let's go ahead and play it this way. Do you see the person toward the back of the vehicle walking toward the opposite side of the SUV?
I do.
What area does he appear to be going to?
It appears to be going towards the rear passenger side of the vehicle, although it does not appear so because the video is inverted, a mirror image. That's where he's going.
And Sergeant Bukhenic, you testified for at least a half an hour about this.
That's
video.
problematic, right, guys?
I'm sorry, it was a long day. I don't know the timing of how long I testified.
You significantly
Yes,
testified
you.
about this video yesterday, did you not?
Happy to
I
see
testified
you.
about this video.
And you testified that it was true and accurate, correct?
Correct.
You testified that
Fucking hell, this is a mess.
of your observations, what was happening in that Sally Port that evening. Correct?
Jesus.
I testified that this is a accurate scene and collection of video evidence from the Sally Port.
And as that truck sits in that Sally Port, just like this, it appears from all perspectives that what we're looking at is the passenger side of the car, and that right rear taillight is right there shining in our face, correct? From this perspective.
How did it go? Oh, if you
I'm
want,
sorry, can you repeat the question?
From this perspective, from the perspective that the jurors are looking at.
Okay.
you
from
can just
all
say, oh,
indications,
well,
that would appear to be the right side of the
or
truck,
not. Oh, well.
the passenger side of the truck. And that taillight that you can see is the right rear taillight from this perspective, correct?
The way it presents itself, yes.
And yesterday, during the entirety of your questioning by Mr. Lally, not once did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted.
I did not know.
Mr. Lally didn't ask you if it was inverted, correct?
That's correct.
And if I hadn't gotten up here to go
Wow.
that would be left uncorrected, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
The person with the winter cap appears to walk directly to the what ultimately should be the right rear taillight of this car, correct?
That's the vicinity, yes. That's where he is.
Reason, this is really fishy, y'all, and here's why. this is really fishy because here's the thing. The fact that it's in a mirror image and they didn't say anything about it would lead, if the jury wasn't aware of that, they wouldn't know that they went to that specific area of the car. So it's pretty crazy. Hi, we have a new friend here. Hello, welcome to you. I don't know how to say the last word in your name, but Salty Sabbat. Don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whose grave you're referring to. But I mean, he definitely had a really impressive resume, which we commented on yesterday. Okay, Sabo. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Sabo. Cool, neato. So, well, I mean, what I will say is that he seemed credible enough yesterday to a certain extent. I mean, I guess the issues that I saw yesterday were things that weren't necessarily his issues, but I have a whole list of them written down, but they were more just like, more like systemic or whatever. And a lot of it, of course, would have been related to Trooper Proctor. Whereas today on Cross, now I will say, I think part of this is because, this was the prosecution's choice to, I guess, call him instead of Trooper Proctor, if in fact they don't do that, because they needed somebody, and between the two of them, he's more credible. It really is going to be interesting to see what they do about that if they do end up calling him. So let's see how Super Planner Girl's appointment went. Okay, good. That's good news. Excellent. So you didn't have anything changed or anything like that, or it's just sort of like a status update situation. Oh, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And actually, Fender's not here anymore, but she and I were watching this yesterday, and we were both like, oh my God, like, should we not get our hopes up? Because like his, the Yankee white clearance and all that, like, I mean, my God. And we were like, okay, let's try to get our hopes up because we know what happens like when it comes out on Cross, right? But it's like maybe there was one decent dude, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a bummer. It's a real bummer because it would have been nice for there to be one not messed up, situation with somebody in law enforcement here. Okay. Cool. Are you feeling any better than you were last night? I hope you are. I'm not trying to, be like talking about people's medical health and shit, but I love you and I hope you're okay. Yeah, right. I know. Thank you for pointing that out. That is very obvious, right? Like when I don't know can y'all see my mouse? No, you guys can't see it. Sometimes it shows and sometimes it doesn't show. But yeah, the text on the back there. Yeah, absolutely. The good old Lally port. So yeah. All right. Well, we're getting actually pretty close to the end of this for today. Fucking hell. We're gonna have to wait until next week for more. Yeah. That's a good point. I will say though, you're in the right place because everybody here is very observant and smart. At some point they named themselves, like we named, I guess, okay, the Squirrel Crew was not my idea. It was somebody else's idea and it stuck, right? So the Squirrel Crew named themselves. Let me just put it that way. But the Squirrel Crew is a really smart bunch. And so, you're in the right place if you're looking for people that actually use their brains for sure. And their eyeballs and their ears.
Pay attention to the right rear of this car. And I know it's but it's the far corner of the car. Do you see a person's head there?
It appears as if someone's still there.
And that person is looking at or near what portion of the car?
In real life or as it's depicted?
Oh, for fuck's sake. You know what he's asking.
In real life, near the right rear taillight of the car.
Yes.
Matter of fact, standing there hovering around it, correct?
We don't know the distance that they are in proximity to the actual vehicle. We just know that they're behind the vehicle. That
looks like it's pretty close, doesn't it?
Objection.
Does that look like he's in close proximity to the right rear taillight?
As I said, I can't tell how far away he is from the vehicle.
So convenient that it's a mirror image, right?
You can't tell that he's right next to the right rear taillight?
Objection.
Sustained.
Ask the answer. That's why
that was that person does. As soon as the other person comes out from behind that car, do you see him move? you see that person move?
I saw movement in the frame, yes.
Right when the other person is in eyesight of the person toward the right rear, correct?
I mean, the video speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
The objection sustained. No commenting, Mr.
yeah,
Jackson. We
whatever.
talked about that.
I like it. I don't
Just to-
care.
just to back up, because there's one other issue I want you to pay attention to, if you can, right at this moment and right before this moment, and that is the timestamp. We back it up maybe 10 seconds. Right about there. Don't play yet. Instead of paying attention to the individuals, I'm going to ask you, can you see, may I approach the screen on this? Can you see the timestamp at 5:37 and 37 seconds p.m.? Can you see that from where you're at?
No, I cannot.
Me neither. I don't want to.
Oh, do I need to let me move my comment so it's not in the way? Not no, or my banner.
Pause it.
Okay, that's where
Did
he's
you see
talking
another
about.
person just up here toward the rear end of the car?
There was a fog of some sorts. It did
fog.
appear as
It was a
if
fog.
a person was actually in. There was two people back there, and two people walked away, or one person
Yeah,
walked away.
please join. We have a good time.
Jumped to 5:38:01. Correct?
I cannot see the timestamp, sir.
Did it appear that there was an anomaly? There's a portion of that video that was deleted.
Fucking hell, of
Just
course
missing,
there was.
deleted, just missing.
Objection.
Can you tell that? Does it appear that way to you, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor, I cannot tell what is happening with the video.
Maybe ask the dude in the orange shirt that's standing there.
If you take a look, a close look, there's a classic.
Right, I know. That's what I was thinking too.
There's an antique vehicle there. Yes, yes.
If you take a close look at the trunk of that vehicle.
Oh man, that would explain a lot, wouldn't it? That explains it. That's what it is.
Yes, I believe I can read that. Yes,
And it's backward, correct?
it is mirrored. Correct.
That's a good indication that this is an inverted video, right?
It appears that way. Yes.
And if we were to fast forward at 5:42,
Oh, wow. Fucking, oh man, that's a lot of activity back there. Look at that. Look at that. I wonder when they grab their red Solo cups and the Lally port.
another 20 seconds. There you go. Can we just play it this morning? No. Pause it. You see the Southport garage came down?
Yes,
You see a number on the garage? Is
I do.
that correct?
What is correct?
There's a number here, correct? That's how you make it for.
No, the number's in the mirror image. Yes.
I
Backwards.
just wanted to make the point. Everything in this video is completely backwards, correct?
It's not backwards. It's mirrored, reversed. You can look yourself in the mirror in the morning. You still see your own face. It's
You
not.
know what a
backwards.
mirror is.
But my mirror image is not an accurate depiction of who I am. My
Check.
actual physical appearance is who I am, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
A mirror image, Sergeant, is not an accurate video of this, is it?
Objection.
It's a mirror image by definition.
Sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
I run, thank you.
Sirens.
I would like to mark,
Yeah.
I have a, we can bring the mics up.
Wait.
He's like, but I want to go. I want to go. I want to go.
I have a,
Yuri.
I'd like to have marked with court permission.
All right, they're going to mark it for the evidence.
Does Mr. Lally know what's on this thumb drive without you telling us?
I do not.
Oh, fucking hell.
No. We'll come to something. It's marked for
Sidebar.
identification, right, Mr. Jackson?
Drive the car to the sidebar. I wonder if this is it, because I feel like they end up getting caught up talking about, let's see, if there's anything else. Is that it? Man, dang it. They ended up stopping early, I think. A half of a half day, a quarter day. Yeah, let's see. Yep. Okay, let me put it on
Thursday, Friday.
let's see what she says. Okay, so that's it, y'all. Fuck. Is there court Monday or do we have to wait until Tuesday? Yeah, unless you're a vampire, then you don't see shit. Yeah, exactly.
You are unmuted.
And if we're gonna have you come back on Monday.
Thank you.
So we'll just wait. Jurors, I know that you want to know when this case is gonna end, and I don't
Ha!
have any negative.
It ended when the solo cups came in. That's the answer.
Lawyers, I can safely say that you will get this case for your deliberations sometime the last week in June.
Fucking mother
We'll
of
know
God.
better next
You're
week.
joking me the last week in June. Guys, wasn't this supposed to be, how long was this trial supposed to be? I feel like it's already been going on forever. I feel like it's already been going on longer than it was supposed to. Does anybody remember? DSM would know. What? Pardon me? Okay. Salty. I don't know who that is. Are you referring to Miss Little or Bev, Judge Bev? Is that like an actress? By the way, I also don't know a lot of like celebrities, so don't, just so you know. Oh my God. Wasn't it supposed to be a 6-week I don't remember for sure. I just feel like that was God. 6 to 8 weeks. Thank you. So, and I don't remember when it started. It feels like it's already been that long, even though they don't go to court every day. I mean, I think that Lally, fucking hell. It's like 5 minutes of listening to Lally talk is like years of my life, it feels like. Time moves differently with Lally. That's the thing. Because there's other cases that last this long that are in court all day, every day, but they seem to fly by, right? Murdoch, for example. It's like time, it's like cross flies by and then direct is just like agonizing. All right, let's see what else she says.
We will not be in session next Tuesday. We will go full days, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, wow. Okay. 4 full days next week.
We will not be in session next Tuesday.
Okay, there you have it. I like her earrings or whatever.
I have to give you those cautions.
they're earrings.
Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any.
I don't recall her usually having earrings on. Do you guys? But I feel like they bring out her hair color or something. Like there's like the light is shining upon her and she looks a little bit kinder, maybe. So that makes sense. Oh, okay, cool. I guarantee you that if Kit Smits, okay, I can't guarantee you. I could almost guarantee you that if 2 of our friends, Kit Smits or Fender, were here, they would know who that is because I think both of them, and also Triple R Wifey, maybe also. But I've never seen anything related to X-Men. Is that I don't even know, is that a male or a female person? I'll look it up. How about that? We'll learn who that. It's a cool looking name. I think you said she looks like, so yes, it must be a female. Oops. Okay. Is that like I wonder if that's like a Swedish. Okay. Well, I'm looking at a picture of her. She's Dutch. Okay. So who were you saying looks like her? Miss Little, I guess I could see that in the face with a different hair color a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess some people just have large mouths. Who else? There's been other people. There's that one singer who had a really large mouth. Can't remember though who it was.
Independent research or investigation into this case. If you have
Curly Simon, that too. Curly Simon. Curly Simon, that's who it was.
Please disregard it.
I knew I would remember.
Great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
All rise for the jury, please, jurors.
You are muted.
Yeah, Curly Simon has a really big mouth as well. And I'm not saying that to be mean, just, she's a singer, so it works out for her, right? So I think they have a little chit chat after the jury leaves. Let's go forward just a little smidgen more here.
You need
Which is really funny because they never do this.
motion from the Commonwealth this morning that I have not had an opportunity to
Okay.
read yet. It's on my desk. I'd like to go spend a few minutes looking at that and come back
wanna
out at
spend a few
12
minutes
o'clock
looking at
on that.
Okay.
For us to argue.
Well, here's one thing. Since I came into this trial without knowing anything about it, I have not ever tried to look for like anything like normally with trials, I would already know how to get the court documents and shit like that. But I have no idea if any of these are even available to the public. But what I would say is that because this document came in during trial, if it's available, I would like to cover it. Not going to do anything pre-trial until after trial so that it's all relevant to what's happening now. So I wonder, she said it was just filed today. Let me see if I can try to find that. I'm going to do a quick little search. I'll keep playing this while I do a search here.
Yes. Do you need
I haven't looked at it either.
Okay.
We've been busy.
All right.
Could we do it on Monday?
I want to get as much evidence in as we can each day. We can do it at 8:30 Monday morning, I think. Madam Court Reporter, can we do it at 8:30? Yeah. Jim?
Sure.
Absolutely fine with us. Not that it matters. But
Can we do it at 8:30 Monday morning?
If that's what the court wants, yes.
Yeah, we'll have a hearing on it at 8:30 Monday. Are you around tomorrow? Are you around tomorrow?
Oh, am I? Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do it tomorrow morning?
If I had a preference, I would say Monday.
All right, we'll do Monday
Oh,
morning at
Lally.
8:30.
I'm sorry.
Monday, 8:30.
Okay,
And if you want to put something in writing, just email it to us this weekend.
will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you then.
All rise for the court, please.
All right, so that's that. So I'm looking to see if this document, I mean, well, if it was just filed today, even if it would be available, it probably wouldn't be available yet. I guess I'm probably jumping the gun there. So if she's not even read it yet. So it was a Commonwealth motion. Let me try searching with Commonwealth just in case. I'm not seeing it yet. And again, I don't know that it'll be available, but I will keep looking. Because if it becomes available, I will cover it. You all know how I love court documents. So, I mean, I'm seeing things coming up for previous pretrial, but that's not what I'm looking for. So, yeah. All right. So that's that. So what did she say? No court Tuesday, but we have court Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that'll be almost a normal week for what normal trials have. So yeah. Yeah, that's right. Mick Jagger. That's right. Yeah. And don't they kind of look almost, and Steven Tyler. That's right. They all kind of look a little bit like twins too, right? Like with the hairdo. Pretty interesting stuff. So anywho, all right. So no recap tonight because I have lessons. But we are going to be starting the recap for week 6, as in this week we just finished, tomorrow. And there's no court. Yeah, there's no court tomorrow. So I'll keep an eye out for any new documents. But if there's nothing else that comes out, then what we'll do is we'll do tomorrow night, we'll do part 1 of the week 6 recap, wherein we get to cut out portions of Lally and cut out all the silence and shit. Yeah. So, all right, you guys, thank you for being here. Happy to see you guys as always. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. Yeah, and let's see. Let's maybe take something for the road here. One for the road. How about let's do the road trip crew. Gang's all here. And how about
there's no evidence of anything in this case.
And road trip crew. Hold on, road trip crew. You have to go away. And then we haven't heard this one in a while.
That call is actually from Brian Higgins to you, isn't it?
Yes.
Obviously, you know how long 22 seconds is.
What's that?
You know how long 22 seconds lasts.
Yes.
That reminds me, shout out to DSN for giving me the idea. I am making the compilation, as he suggested last night, with people being confused, not knowing how to answer Lally's questions, especially that ER doc, because there were like a bunch of them in a row, and it's just like really, it's great. It's some good stuff. So I'm working on, I think it's going to end up being like a video like clip. I mean, it'll be short, right? But instead of the audio, because his confused face says a lot. So I'm going to have that. I'll have that done for tomorrow before the recap and stuff. So, do we have a request for waterfall? Okay. All right, let's do it. Hold on. You got it. Let me pull up the video. Yes. So, for anyone who's new here, shout out to Salty. This is a song that I did. I don't know how else to explain it. Jackson, Unetti, it's time to shine. There's snow, there's snow, there's snow, there's snow. To the window, to the wall, to the wall, to the bartender's last call. At the waterfall, I sleep, sleep, motherfucker. I sleep, sleep, goddamn. I sleep, sleep, motherfucker. I sleep, sleep, goddamn. They all crunk and act and mean. Brian's mostly resting, they have too much drink in their minds. Everything's fine, good. I nap already gathered about 50 damn times. To the window, to the wall, to the wall, to the bartender's last call. At the waterfall, I sleep, sleep, motherfucker. I sleep, sleep, goddamn, goddamn. I sleep, sleep, motherfucker. I sleep, sleep, goddamn. Do 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 so I will just say, because this is how I roll, everything in there is from literally, like, even when it says the windows and the wall, those are pictures from the interior of the house that I found from the exact place where they all sat staring out the window during Brian Jr.'s birthday party, not birthday party. Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday party, not birthday party. And all the pictures of snowplows and shit, those are all local Canton snowplow people, companies. All the pictures of the sleet and everything. And if you all saw the leaf blower, that's the actual evidence photo of who is it? Officer Good or whatever, or no, newly promoted Sergeant Good. That's him with that. Like, everything is literally from except for the pictures of Little John and the East Side Boys. Everything is from the trial or evidence. So, oh, we love that. Yes, absolutely. That sounds amazing. We've got a lot of foodies. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's if you're a fan of Murdoch, we've got a Murdoch song as well. That was kind of how this all started. But we did a huge deep dive on that whole thing. So, but yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we're glad you're here. This is great. And I've just, there's been plenty of other ideas that I've had, like Black Witter, who's here right now. She gave me the idea for the sound of Lally instead of the sound of silence. And then I figured out I could do like objection to the sound of Lally. And then also I had the idea for all the small things, because yesterday, was that yesterday? Yeah. All the small things. They literally said, talking about the tiny pieces of plastic from the taillight. And then they constantly were saying, turn the lights off or turn them back on for all the exhibits. There was no carry me home. But other than that, like, you know, I could easily change it to like Karen's not home or something. Right. But yeah. So, you actually knew the Murdoch family? I don't know what ACAB is. Yeah, voice to text. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Well, if you knew them, that is if you knew them, we've got the deep dive on the entire trial, and then we started doing a big deep dive with Gloria Satterfield, and then it got kind of waylaid by Karen Reed this trial. So, okay, ACAB. I didn't know. Thank you, Blackwater. I had no idea. I didn't know if those were guitar chords, because I mean, they are guitar chords. I was like, are those chords? At first I thought you were giving me the guitar chords to all the small things, but I was like, those aren't the right chords. not the right chord progression. So anyway, but because it does start on A, but it's A, E, and D. There's no C and no B. Anyway, I don't know what OUI is either. I don't know. I don't know all the acronyms. I know acronyms that are related to, you know, squirrely things or music. So, well, y'all, it's been real. I've got to go get ready to teach some violin lessons. So, thank you guys for being here. Are you? So, yeah, I guess you're probably in South Carolina. I'm in North Carolina, so I know what that's like. and Blackwater's gonna go get dinner. Yeah. So oh, I see. Right. DWI. Yeah. Oh, I've got great stories about that because I didn't drink for like my first 26 years of being alive, and I've actually told some great stories on here about being pulled over completely sober, had never had a drink, and a cop followed me out in the middle of nowhere to my house. I didn't know it was legal at the time, and tried to tell me I was drunk, and it was really insane. Anyway, but yes, love you guys. No, you're more than welcome. We are a smart group here, so we appreciate people that are opinionated. I'll just say this: I just don't like misinformation. That's the really thing, or being mean. As long as you're kind and it's not misinformation, we are very open-minded and fun-loving and just loving in general, and fun, I guess, too. Yeah, we get it. Thank you, Blackwater. Well said. So yeah, I know it's disgusting. I was getting really mad yesterday during the live stream, and I felt bad about it because I literally never get mad. Hi, Candace. I literally never get mad. It takes a lot. And then I saw some of EDB's from yesterday, and I was like, oh, okay. And I feel a little bit better because she was even madder. It's a lot. It's hard. But y'all, hopefully I will see all of you guys for the recap tomorrow night. Also, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I did cover the Becky Hill recent, the 76 charges brought against her. There's a video out for that. Everything I do has really detailed timestamps. So y'all can have fun. Sometimes there's inside jokes and shit on there. But yeah, so there's that. And then there was also a recap last night. But yeah, do check out the Becky Hill video if you are interested in Murdoch. And I will see y'all tomorrow for week 6 recap. And love you guys. Squirrel Crew's the best. And I'll go ahead and roll the outro.